What's up, YouTube? I'm Guy, and today I want to answer a viewer email that I got, a question about purchasing a Rolex. I've got the email here pulled up on my phone, so I'll kind of read you a short version of it. I'll skip all the unimportant stuff, and then I want to let the viewer that sent this question in know my thoughts, and also ask you guys to give your suggestions as well down in the comments. So, without any further ado, let's check out this email. It says, Guy, I stumbled across your YouTube videos recently and I'd like to commend you for your excellent reviews. Keep up the great work. I was wondering if you could give me your advice on the following scenario. I'm looking to buy my first Rolex luxury watch and I have initially narrowed it down to the Sea Dweller 40mm from the 90s since I want a dial and hands with tritium. The markers have now developed a nice off-white cream color, which I fancy. I found a good one on Chrono24 with box and papers for about the $8,000 mark. The seller has been quite helpful, sent me high-res photos, and has even put it on a time grapher. It's running at plus 2 seconds per day, which is fine. However, the amplitude reading is 243 degrees, and I know enough about I don't know enough about time graphers, but based on your videos, I believe this should be a cause for concern. Is this correct? So that's the first question that he asked, and I'll address that. 243 degrees, assuming that the time grapher was running, the watch technically was running on the time grapher in the dial up position, is probably a little bit on the low side. Since this is a watch from the 90s, I'm guessing the reason that the amplitude is a little bit low is just simply that it needs to be serviced. So, an ideal amplitude reading on a new watch would be somewhere in the range of 280 to 300 degrees. How do I know that? Because when I got my first Rolex Submariner, it was having some problems with the movement on the time grapher. I posted some pictures online, and a watchmaker from Jewelers on Time, if I'm not mistaken, Vanessa, very well known on the Rolex forums, responded and said that, yeah, that doesn't look quite right for a brand new watch, especially the amplitude was a bit low, and mine was running at about 270. So, I wouldn't say, as you phrased it, is this a cause for concern? Not in the sense that there's something necessarily wrong with the watch. It's just an older watch from the 90s. Let's guess it's around 95. I don't know if it's early 90s, late 90s. But if it's around 95, that is, 22, potentially 20 or more years old? Yeah, the watch might have never been serviced, and it's due. So if you decide to buy this watch, take that into account. The cost of servicing it could be $700, $800, almost $1,000, depending on what all needs to be done. But you could buy this watch, since it's keeping plus 2 seconds per day in accuracy right now. You could wear it for a year, or maybe more, until it starts to have problems with the timekeeping. A low amplitude in and of itself isn't necessarily a problem. It's most likely just a sign of the lubricants, the oils and whatnot, kind of drying up, causing a little bit of drag, if you will, just slowing everything down. So yeah, buy it, potentially wear it for a period of time until it absolutely needs a service. And you'll know, like when it's suddenly not keeping time very good at all, it's time to send it in. But factor that into the price. Don't overspend on the watch, knowing that there's a potential that in 6 months, 12 months, maybe 24 months, I couldn't put an exact time frame on it, this watch will have to go in. To go on, the email, he says, to add to the confusion, my wife is advising me to just buy a new black Submariner with date and avoid the risk and hassle of buying used. Even though I was yearning for a dial with patina markers, I also do like a watch with good lume, and like you mentioned in your Submariner video, by buying the new model, you're getting the latest technology. A local AD here cited a 2 to 4 week wait time for a black sub with date. I have no problem with this wait time. Whichever watch I buy, I intend on wearing daily and enjoying. The investment part is secondary. I'm torn between the options. A discontinued Sea Dweller with patina versus a new black sub. Thanks for your advice. So, we've already talked about that particular Sea Dweller you're looking at. I'm not overly concerned about that particular problem that you mentioned. Now the question of, should you go for a watch like that, or just get a brand new Submariner date in this case. Well, you know, I own one. I love that watch. I've had it for almost a year now, and it is by far my absolute favorite watch that I have ever spent any amount of time with, whether I've owned them, borrowed them, whatever. It's fantastic. I love it. So it's going to be difficult for me to give you a non-biased answer, but I'll try. If you love the older semi-vintage Sea Dweller, if that's the watch that you really want, you know, then do it. Just make sure you cover all of your bases. Buying older watches, vintage watches, can be something of a minefield. You have to really be sure that you trust the seller. On the other hand, as you had said, with a brand new sub, there's really no hassle. There's the latest and greatest technology, a 5-year warranty. You don't really have anything to worry about, assuming you're buying it from an authorized dealer, which you said you would be. So I would say the only reason I wouldn't recommend you getting a new Submariner date is if every time you're going to look down at that watch, you wish it was the Sea Dweller that you really wanted. Only you can decide for yourself which you'll be happier with, and unfortunately I can't tell you what to do, but if it were me, I'd go for the new watch. I don't particularly like buying pre-owned or vintage watches. I like having stuff that's minty, fresh, and new. But for you, yeah, it's a decision that you're going to have to do a little soul searching on and try to figure out what will work best for you. Hopefully that was some help. I'm sure you still have a tough decision on your hands, but in the end, whichever decision you make, I really do hope that you're happy and enjoy your first Rolex, because ultimately, it's supposed to be a fun and rewarding experience. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you'd like to leave your comments down in the description, what do you recommend that this viewer do? I know I would appreciate it, and I'm sure he would as well. So yeah, go ahead and take a minute and let him know what you think. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's a number of ways that you can do that. Down in the description, you will find links to my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram accounts. Follow me on all those platforms. Number 2, Patreon support. I could always use more. If any of you guys want to head over to Patreon and help support me and what I'm doing here on the channel, I would appreciate that. And a big thank you to the folks that have been over there supporting me. Last but not least, of course, is using my Amazon affiliate links. If you like anything that I've reviewed and want to purchase it, down in the description, just click that affiliate link first before you go and do your shopping on Amazon, and I get a small commission. Those commissions add up, and a very big thank you to all the guys that have been using that Amazon affiliate link. As always, I really do appreciate it. Until next week, or maybe later this week, we'll see what my schedule is. I guess that's it for now. Take care. Bye now.